I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, what's up, Love After Lockup fans? It is Alexis here. I am holding it down solo, but not super solo, because we have Vito in the booth who also will be talking to us. What's up, Vito?
Hey everybody, glad to be here again.
Yes.
We're here doing it double time.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about that I was like, you know what, we gotta have somebody to talk to about it, because child, it's just too much to talk to myself about. But make sure that you talk back to me in the comments, because I want to see what you have to say too. We got a lot going on today. We had Laci and Shane and their blow up. We had, of course, the normal Sarah, Megan, and Michael drama. Cheryl and Josh are back together and back on the show. And Marcelino and Brittany are dealing with issues with Britney's mom. We just got so much going on. So let's get right on into it. We're going to start off with Laci and Shane, because Laci and Shane left off in the last episode in a huge brawl. And they began the episode in a huge brawl. But even in going back and forth, she decided, I'm still gonna go see my ex, even though I'm having issues right now with my husband. Now, we know Laci has a complicated situation with John, who is not the father of her baby's daughter like she thought, but for some reason still keeps him around. She still loves him, she still cares about him, and she's worried about him. So she decides in the middle of this argument that she's still going to see John. Now, Vito, you don't have an ex in jail that I know of.
No, luckily I can say that I do not.
But if you had an ex who had a complicated situation and never mind, not an ex. If your girlfriend had a situation with an ex, and the situation was different. Like the ex has some sort of like issues with, abuse and with drugs, and his situation is very bad, and you're kind of the only person he ever had. Would you be okay with your girlfriend going to see that person?
So you're saying if I had a partner who had a partner that had a complicated past?
Yes.
I think it's extremely important for people to have like systems and like people to back them up and stuff like that. It really would depend on the situation, because while I have had relationships in which they've had somebody not necessarily in jail, but somebody who's like emotionally dependent on them, and that can be really exhausting for somebody depending on how their life is. Like me personally, I believe that you can only do so much. Being there for friends is important, but also being for yourself first is extremely important. So if somebody's in a tight situation with like going in and out of prison and everything, I think it's important for them to be there, maybe important to visit, but like they can't be the sole person for them to lean on, because that is dangerous for everybody involved.
Yeah. Vito, you're so mature.
Oh, thank you.
Because let me tell you something. If my man was like, I have to go see about my ex, I know we're in a fight right now, but I still got to go see about that person because she got something going on, I would be like, oh, no, you not. Oh, no. And if you do, you're going to have some issues when you come home.
Honestly, I don't blame you, though. Like, that, I don't think it's a problem necessarily that you feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. But, you took the mature approach, and, it's good to think about others. If they have issues, and in this case, he has issues with drugs, and he just got out of jail, so of course he has to stay away from drugs. Yeah. Maybe that makes the situation different, but child, I don't know if I have it in me, honestly. But what was surprising in all of this is that Shane, in letting off some steam, Shane went to go see one of his friends and told him about the situation with Laci. And the friend was actually kind of on Laci's side, kind of wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. He said, they just broke up. You came in a situation where they were still together. So their breakup is pretty fresh. It's as fresh as your marriage is. And, she's always going to have love for that person. He was her first love. And it's a weird situation because they're dealing with just getting out of jail and dealing with drug abuse and all of that. Give her the benefit of the doubt. And also, I guess, as a husband, he has to trust her. I guess if you're in a marriage and you can't trust that person, then you shouldn't be in that marriage. So I guess be able to let her go see that person and trust that nothing's going to happen. But I don't know if I have that much trust in my heart. But I'm also not married, and that's probably why I'm not married. So let us know what you think in the comments. Would you let your girlfriend go see their ex who just got out of jail? Let us know what you think, because I I don't know if I can do it. Now, all of that happened, and Lacy actually went to go see John, and in go seeing him, she realized that he had been arrested the whole time. So she put herself in this position, and he ended up being in jail when she went to go see him. He was arrested for a DUI and possession of needles. Now, I know Lacy's already feeling so many emotions. There's worry, there's fear, there's that thing of, he's back in jail, so that probably means he's not going to be out in a long time. But I'm sure one thing Lacy probably also feels is guilt, because maybe if she wouldn't have broken up with him in the way she did, he wouldn't have gone back down that road, or maybe if she would have showed up sooner, he wouldn't have ended up back in that position. But is it really Lacy's place to have that concern and that fear? You're not together. Y'all aren't together anymore. Y'all broke up, and now she's in a whole new marriage. Should she really have that pressure and that need to want to, do that for him? Like, does that need to be her responsibility?
No, I don't think it does need to be.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but it's like, to me, it's like at that extent, you need to be able to work for yourself in that situation.
Right.
If you're out of the relationship, yes, you're still friends. Yes, maybe you still care about each other a lot. But like, I understand her feeling guilty. I don't think she should, though.
Yeah.
Because it's not her fault. Like,
it's no longer her burden to bear.
Exactly. And not only that, like, you can say, oh, I could have done this, oh, I could have done that. That doesn't necessarily mean it would have changed.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And, if you continue to always put that focus on him, will they ever change? If they always know, oh, if this happens, I can lean on that person, you'll never be able to move on, and they'll never put themselves in a position where they really have to change.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens in, with Lacy and Shane. A lot of people on social media were saying that maybe she chose the wrong guy. It kind of seemed very just spur on a whim that she decided to choose Shane instead of John, because John and her were engaged when she ended up with Shane.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, was she just doing that because she was mad at John at the time and she really should be with John? But do you really want to be with somebody who's in and out of jail and has those issues,
I guess she doesn't really mind, being that she's been on the show.
Yeah, and that this is like her third ex-con that she's with, because Shane was in jail too. He's just not still going through all of those issues.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. All right, before we move on, I just want to give a huge thank you for everybody tuning in and making us the ESPN of TV Talk. We love talking about Love After Lockup and all the many other shows we have on AfterBuzz, and we can't continue to do it without you all viewing. But make sure, in addition to viewing, you are liking it, you are commenting on it, and of course that you're subscribed to our channel. Make sure, if you're listening, you give us a 5-star rating. And even if you're not watching Love After Lockup, make sure you come and watch our AfterBuzz shows. We would love for it to be Love After Lockup, but just continue to support AfterBuzz, because we can't do what we do without you. So thank you for tuning in. Yes. All right, so we're going to talk about Sarah, Megan, and Michael, this continuous love triangle that we have been watching for seasons to come. First, we see Sarah. She's going to see a family attorney because she just realized that Michael is making all of this money and he is not giving her no child support. He's not calling to check on his kids. So she goes to see what kind of things she can do. And the attorney says, since he technically doesn't have like a real job, I know he's getting cash apps from people, but since he doesn't have a real job, the only thing she could get from him is $25 a month. Now, Vito, what can somebody do with $25 a month?
I don't know what anybody's going to do with $25 a month besides go to the dollar store, maybe.
Right, exactly. For 2 kids?
Yeah, for 2 kids, that's like buying a dollar menu item on McDonald's for 25 days. And that's $1 menu.
Absolutely. I can't believe that's an actual law. There's people out there trying to take care of their kids and only are getting contributed $25 a month.
That's crazy.
That is the craziest thing I ever heard. But I guess that's why so many people, are like, why even go through the process of going to court and going after my baby's father, or it could be baby's mother, and trying to get child support, because you're not going to get anything anyway. And if she has proof that he's getting all of this money from Cash Apps and all these women, I don't see why that can't be taken into account to get money into her account. So that completely took me off guard. She also said when she was talking to the attorney, and I didn't know why she was telling the attorney this, because what is the attorney supposed to do? She said, "Oh, he when he does FaceTime my daughter, he always has other women in the FaceTime with him, and my daughter doesn't like that." Okay, one, is it that your daughter doesn't like the FaceTimes with the other women, or is it that you don't like the FaceTimes with the other women? If your daughter just wants to talk to her dad, why does it matter who the other woman is? She doesn't even know who the other woman could be. It could be his sister, it could be his cousin. What about there being another woman in the FaceTime could really bother your daughter? So I guess she was trying to say that to get some sort of sympathy from the attorney, but what is the attorney supposed to do? Call him and be like, stop putting other women on FaceTime? No, like, what is he supposed to do? So I don't know what's going to happen with the whole Sarah thing. I do hope that she takes him to court, but I mean, I guess at this point, even if she does take him to court, she's only going to get $25. So I don't know. It's just, it's such a mess. It's a shame that he doesn't want to be in his kid's life. So while all that is going on, while she's possibly only getting $25 a month for her kids, bearing all the weight of something that he did, he is boo-loving it up in Texas with Megan. He's sick in the bed and she's bringing him soup and they're having this whole thing. And Megan decides, while he takes a little nappy nap, that she's gonna go through his phone. But sis made the ultimate mistake in grabbing the phone without knowing the passcode first. Like, sis, if you're gonna take his phone, you know you only have a really quick amount of time before he realizes that his phone is gone, especially if he's a cheater. It's like they have an instinct. Oh, my phone is like more than a couple feet away. My phone isn't around. I need to make sure I have it. So if you're gonna decide to sneak and look through your boyfriend's phone, here's a tip, ladies. Go into it already knowing how to get into the phone.
Also, side note, I'm not a cheater, but I feel that way about my phone anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if anybody swipes my phone, I'd probably be like, oh my God, where's my phone at?
Yeah.
Where is it? It's just an instinct.
This man literally woke up out his sleep, though, Vito.
Oh my God.
He did. It was like, oh, my phone's gone. Where is it? Where is it? It's
crazy.
Cheaters, I'm telling you, they on edge at all times, even in their sleep. So, like I said, if you're going to look through his phone, sit by him while he's in his phone. Try to look over and get that passcode. Something. Don't go in, decide to do it and not have a plan, because, like I said, you're only going to have a very short window where you can actually take time to look through the phone. And if you're sitting there trying to figure out the passcode, you're giving away all your time. So he ends up catching her, and now he's like, oh, you're being sneaky. It's equivalent to you making out with my friend. Vito, do you think that somebody going through your phone is the equivalent of somebody making out with your best friend? No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Michael said that her sneaking and trying to go through his phone is the equivalent of her sneaking and kissing his best friend. Do you consider that the same thing?
No, especially being that has he been suspected to be a cheater in the past?
Oh, yes.
Oh, then no, you can't say that. You should know that at that point, there's a reason that she distrusts you, and there's a reason that she would want to go through your phone.
Exactly.
He needs to know that.
Yes. It's like, what? I don't even know what was going through his head. So it's funny that he brought that up, because literally minutes into their conversation, coincidentally, the friend who he was talking about that Megan made out with, his name is Rock, just shows up at the door at the hotel, and Megan is like, why didn't you tell me he was coming? I'm sorry, I love this show, but that was completely producer orchestrated. This man was supposed to come over. You were just about to take a nap. That's when you're about to look in the phone. He catches you trying to go through the phone. That's when he brings up the situation with Rock. Then out of nowhere, Rock shows up at the door. I'm sorry, there's not enough coincidences in the world that all of that was able to happen at the same time. Am I right, Vito?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always wondered how often they had producers make scenes on this show, but that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent, there could have been one or two things that happened along that line, but all that happening at the same time is kind of whack.
It's like, okay, we're just supposed to believe that all of this just magically happened.
Yeah.
But regardless, Rock shows up and Michael and Rock walk off because they feel like they have to address the whole situation with Rock kissing Megan. And so Rock tells Michael, you weren't taking care of her anyway. You weren't treating her right. That's a good woman. I really care about her. yeah, Michael isn't treating her right, and yes, that's true, and maybe you do feel like you can be a better man for her, but I'm sorry, I don't care how bad my friend is treating their boyfriend, that still does not give me the right to make out with that boyfriend. Like,
that's cheating.
Right, exactly. At the end of the day, whether I feel like you're not treating your boyfriend right or not, and maybe I do have a secret crush on your boyfriend. I would hope that nobody ever has a crush on their friend's significant other. But my loyalty should always be to that friend. I don't care how bad that you treat him. My loyalty is to you as my friend, especially with Rock and Michael, because they've been best friends since they were kids. There was no reason to ever make out with your friend's significant other ever.
I just really want to understand like where that instinct comes from to be like, oh my God, this relationship is going so terribly. I'm going to take advantage of this situation.
Exactly.
Like, especially if they're still going strong in a relationship. That's just like, it's asinine to me. Like,
it is.
Why would you ever kind of roll into that relationship and immediately cause something that you know is just super dramatic?
Right.
I don't know. Except for if it's on TV.
Yeah, because it's on TV. And it's all orchestrated, I'm telling you. If nothing else on the show, this for sure was. And so they continue to have this conversation. I'm kind of on Michael's side because I'm like, even if you feel like I'm not treating Megan right, that doesn't give you the right as my friend to make out with Megan. But then it's revealed that he didn't just make out with Megan, that they actually had sex. And I was like, ooh, whoa, that was a twist. Because that not only meant that, that she made out with your best friend, but she slept with your best friend. And not only did she sleep with your best friend, but she lied about it because she said that they didn't have sex. So now I'm wondering, did Rock lie about them having sex, or did Megan lie about them having sex, or did they really have sex? Like, who knows at this point?
And if you did do that, like, why wouldn't you talk to the person that you slept with to be able to be like, all right, let's get our stories straight.
Right.
Did we have sex? Did we not have sex?
Yes.
Acting as if you wouldn't be caught doing this. Like,
right.
Maybe they just didn't put the thought into it because they were like, we won't get caught.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on a TV show when they can just rewind the tape back and show when you said that y'all didn't have sex. It's all a
People
mess.
act wacky on TV.
They do.
There's another show that I produced called Blind Date, and just people don't think about what they say on that show.
They do not.
Thinking about it being up on TV for the rest of their life.
And you'll never be able to tell a lie in reality TV world because they have everything on tape and it can always be brought back. So I don't know. I kind of hope that Rock is lying. I hope that Megan wouldn't really do that to Michael. I mean, Michael did her very wrong. He lied about being married and had a pregnant wife the whole time. But that doesn't mean that you can be a liar. That still makes you look bad. That still shows bad character on your part. Like, does a guy cheating on you make it right for you to lie?
Absolutely not. I don't think lying is good in any situation.
Nope.
It sucks because like she's definitely like the victim in this situation, but it still doesn't make it right to lie.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, they took the words right out of my mouth. Two wrongs do not make a right. And we saw in the clip for next week that Michael hits him, so it may
Oh my
this
God.
Is about to get real juicy,
Dramatic.
y'all. Dramatic. So I can't wait for next week or whenever they finally show it. I wouldn't be surprised with this show if they hold that until the very last episode, because they do that a lot on this show. We think it's going to be the next episode, and then they just stall that until the last episode. I really hope that's not the case, because it sounds like it's about to really heat up in their situation. So we're going to have to see what happens. All right, so let's talk about Cheryl and Josh. When we left up with Cheryl and Josh on Love After Lockup, they had just broken up. He dumped her because she didn't like what he chose for their marriage location, so he dumped her. But they're back together now, and in being back together, they decide that they want to live together, so Cheryl is getting her bags and grabbing her kids, and she's like, I'm going to move to Colorado to live with Josh. She didn't tell her family any of this, though. They think that she's moving to Michigan to live with them, but she tells her sister on the way there, like, oh, I'm not going to Michigan anymore. I'm back with Josh, and we're going to go to Colorado. And her sister was like, you're an idiot. Like, y'all were in Colorado together, and he dumped you 3 times, so why do you think that moving back to Colorado is going to be any different after he had already dumped you 3 times in Colorado and left you back here? So they didn't really talk too much about Cheryl and Josh. They just are kind of bringing them back in this episode, but that's where they left it off. I agree with the sister, like why do y'all keep trying if he keeps dumping you? When you go to Colorado, you're gonna have to live with his mom, and you don't like his mom, so just throw the whole relationship away at this point.
Yeah, just throw the whole thing out. It's rotten.
Just get out of there. And the fact that she's taking her kids now, you know, in Love After Lockup, it was only her. She left her kids with her parents like she always does. But now she's taking her kids. Now you're bringing the kids into it. Nah, bruh. You got to let it go. It's time to let it go. Let it go. Okay? All right.
Nice one.
Yeah. I rap sometimes, you know. All right. Well, Tracy and Clint are back, but Tracy is back in jail. And sis is looking absolutely terrible. Her whole one side of her head is shaved. She is skinny, mini. Looks like she's like 90 pounds. And it came out later that since she's gotten back to jail, she has an eating disorder, which, oh my gosh, I so feel for her. Now it makes sense how, you know, when she first came on Love After Lockup, she was kind of heavy set, and then she went to jail and she came back super duper skinny. So I wonder what it is about jail that causes her to have this eating disorder. Does she not like the food? Like, what could it be?
I mean, I think it could be a lot of things, like emotionally speaking, because I do know that, like, for a lot of people, jail is just like such a changing and trying time mentally. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that led her, if it was something that happened to her in the past that came back, because normally people with eating disorders, as far as I'm aware, have to deal with kind of a lifelong struggle with it. It's not just like suddenly you develop it. Even if she did just develop it, though, like it's probably just the stress of having this relationship, having TV involved in this entire thing of you going to jail and stuff like that. And I feel for her. That's really difficult to deal with.
It is difficult. And, you know, they also revealed that she had a meth addiction the whole time. You know, we were thinking the whole time on the show that, you know, she had been working through it and was kind of recovering, but come to find out she had been using the whole time, and that's how she ended up back in jail. She went to jail for meth possession, and maybe that's what contributed to the eating disorder, because I know sometimes with drug addicts, they can't even eat without having their fix first.
Yeah, I have definitely heard that about especially when it comes to methamphetamines. It's like you have to deal with all of the symptoms of withdrawal. Like, I wonder, like, something that I've also heard when it comes to a lot of jails, especially when it comes to drug users, like they've been changing some policies when it comes to like helping people who were addicted, like kind of wind down off of it. But if like somebody who's a heavy user goes to jail and they don't have anything, they will die of what's it called? It's addiction. It's basically lack of the drug. The drug not being in their body will kill them.
Wow, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep, so Tracy and Clint, I mean, I don't think Clint was using, but because he was with her and he, for some reason, had it in his pocket too, even though he claims he wasn't using, it was just her. I guess maybe he was just holding it for her. They both went to jail, but he was released and she's still in there. And he ended up just going back home, and it just made me wonder, you know, should he have stayed there with her?
I don't know. I mean, like,
not in jail, but like just there.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's like depending on if he wanted to get his life together or not. Like maybe he saw that as like, okay, I'm out of this. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna do this. But that's not the most frequent track record we find on this show.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess it's kind of just like a battle, because you love that person. You don't want to just leave them in their low moments, but at the same time, you kind of have to remove yourself from that situation if it keeps bringing you in these type of, you know, scenarios.
Absolutely. I mean, the prison system in itself is cyclical. I mean, once you're in it, you're kind of in it for life most of the time. Yeah. Especially if it involves drugs and everything like that. So I feel bad, but maybe he's actually trying to do something for himself. But it just sucks for her being that he's kind of leaving her behind and kind of going home while she's still stuck there. Yeah.
Well, we hope we work it out. We'll see as the show goes on what happens with the two of them. We're going to move on to Marcelino and Brittany. It's a pretty quick story, but a kind of sad story, because Brittany's mom wants to move to Vegas to be closer to the kids and to kind of fix her relationship with Brittany. I didn't know until this episode that Brittany was basically abandoned by her family. They had a really big alcoholic problem, and you know, she felt alone as a kid living there. I think she said when she was 12 years old, she ran away, and 3 days after she ran away, she went back home and they were gone. They had just left. And she just didn't have anyone.
Oh my God.
And to imagine that a 12-year-old would be in that situation is just so sad to me, and it makes sense how, you know, she became a drug addict and probably ended up in jail because she was dealing with a situation like that.
Yeah.
But her mom went through a terrible thing where she was in a house sitting and there was a gas leak and the place ended up exploding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the house exploded, but she survived. She has really bad burn wounds, but she survived.
Oh my
God
God.
is so good because she survived being in an exploding building.
Like, good for her.
Yeah, and because of that, now she's clean and sober. God will bring some situations into your life to put you back on track.
Yeah,
I am telling you.
I think that'd knock me sober.
Oh yes, for sure, for sure.
Oh man.
And now she wants, you know, she's turning around her life and she wants to be closer to Britney to mend that relationship and to be closer to her grandkids. But Britney's kind of in a dilemma because it's like I want to build that relationship with you and I want you to have a relationship with your grandkids, but I still am dealing with that trauma.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Vito?
I mean, it's hard because like family is family and you want to be as close to family as you want to, but
especially your mom.
Yeah, but if you're like dealing with the trauma that you need to deal with, like I'm not gonna lie, me being like openly, I'm 22 years old. I can't imagine being a parent as is, but then being a parent that also has like all of these add-on issues. Like, I can't imagine dealing with that myself. So all of the stuff that she's going through, I can only imagine that it like takes a lot. But maybe she should be around people that should support her.
Right.
Like is her relationship with her mom good? Is it like a relationship that would sustain her?
They're getting there. It's a complicated relationship, like she said. You know, they want to get to a better place, but at the same time, I can see the hesitancy, especially of having her around your grandkids, because you've already abandoned me. So I don't want to bring you in my kids' life and then run the risk of you abandoning them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And dealing with the pain of having to deal with it a second time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And especially because like you're still building up that trust and there's not necessarily that trust there.
Yeah.
I know age can, time heals wounds, but time doesn't always heal wounds.
Yeah. And of course, Marcelino, being the protector that he is, he's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it because I'm just trying to protect my wife and protect my kids. And I don't know her. All I know of her is these terrible stories that you've told me and the things that she's done to you. So I can see him kind of being hesitant with having her around. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully they can, you know, mend fences and really renew their relationship, because you got to have your mom around. And sometimes it just takes, you know, forgiveness and moving past to kind of build a relationship. Last but not least, we have Andrea and Lamar. Lamar is in Utah against his will because Andrea doesn't want to live in LA anymore. My only thought about them, despite just I haven't been able to talk. I missed the first after show we did of the first episode when it was admitted that she got pregnant in a prison closet. First of all, I think that's a lie. I'm just going to go ahead and put out my thoughts, because in the first season, when they introduced her, she said that, you know, I can't have sex with Lamar yet because we're not married and yada, 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 which means that you would have had sex with him out of wedlock to conceive your child. And why are you having sex in a prison closet? That's just absolutely ridiculous. It feels like such a storyline to me. But now that we've gotten past that, now they're in a situation where he wants to live in LA and she wants to live in Utah. And because she does have this baby with him now, her prison closet baby, she wants him to live in Utah too. My thinking of it is that, you know, Andrea doesn't want to live in LA, Lamar doesn't want to live in Utah. Why don't they just move to a city that isn't either one of those places? They just move somewhere fresh where neither one of them has lived, a place where they can talk about, like they can decide to live there and it kind of be their new place together instead of trying to choose one or the other. What are you thinking?
Do either of them have support systems in either of those cities?
Yeah, Andrea has her people in Utah, and then Lamar, he's from LA. He's really only lived in LA.
That's why. Like, okay, I am a transplant from the East Coast over to Los Angeles.
Same.
And like just even without all of the issues when it comes to like the jail and everything like that, like I personally am missing my support systems.
Oh, yes.
And I have like some here, but it's not the same.
Right.
So like I'm sure for both of them, it's like if we go to somewhere new, we both won't have anybody.
Right.
So like maybe it's an issue in their minds of like if one of them goes one place, they won't have their support systems, but the other person will.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's like a really hard situation.
Yeah.
I agree though, like maybe they can go somewhere that's like close by, like, but they're so far away.
Yeah,
from
they're
each
just completely
other.
different places. I mean, Lamar has said he doesn't want to live in Utah.
Yeah.
His reason today, at first it was his probation, but now he's off probation.
Okay.
And his reason today was he was saying it wasn't enough black people in Utah. Fair.
Okay.
Very fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Andrea doesn't want to live in LA because, he's from LA. He had he was in gangs really bad in LA, and she wants him to stay out of jail. So what if they just found a different city where they did have more black people?
Yeah, I was about to say,
that isn't LA, and they just start fresh together. They may not know other people, but they have each other and they have their kids, you know?
And there are plenty of cities, especially it doesn't have to be in LA. You can go other places along the West Coast. You can go on the East Coast.
Right.
I think I agree with you, but it does also, I'm sure they're also factoring in, where are my support systems? Not Utah, not LA.
Right. Yeah, but I think for the sake of compromise, because it doesn't seem like anybody is going to give in to one or the other, maybe they just decide to go somewhere new. Or, it sucks. Divorce happens.
Yeah.
Y'all figure out a way to co-parent and deal with that. But it's a really sticky situation because, like you said, I'm a transplant too, and I miss my family on the East Coast so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and LA is a beast.
LA is a beast, and especially having the history that he does in LA. Of course, I'm not surprised that she wouldn't want to go to LA with him because as it's proven time and time again on this show, if you've been a part of something or if you've done something, it will most likely continue to stick with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. Especially if it involved drugs, if it involved crime, jail. People who go to jail often end up back in jail,
right?
And that's just the system. That's how it works. That's how they grew up. A lot of people, that's all they know.
Yeah.
So I can't you can't blame him because maybe he's comfortable in that lifestyle.
Right.
Maybe he's comfortable being around a place where he knows what the situation is and where it is.
Right.
But I hope for them that they're able to find another place that they can call home to be able to have a fresh start because otherwise they're just gonna kind of keep going back to the same place and keep ending up in the same place.
Or if one does decide, okay, I'll live where you want to live, I feel like there's always going to be that resentment of you took me away from home and
Yeah.
Well, I hope they work it out.
Yeah, me too.
We'll have to see. All right, let's get into news and gossip. This is some juicy news. All right, on Thursday's News Daily, we talked about Love After Lockup's Matt Frazier. He was arrested for the 5th time in 1 year. He just can't seem to stay out of jail. But in getting arrested on Wednesday, he was able to get out on his own recognizance. But just since Wednesday night when he got out, he's been arrested again.
Oh, no.
The second time within 2 days.
Oh,
now, when he was arrested on Wednesday, he was arrested for a pretty small crime. He was arrested for failure to transfer his car's title. It was a very small bond. And like I said, he was able to get out. But this time, it was something for something way, way worse. He was arrested for unlicensed possession of a controlled substance, and the class was synthetic narcotics. Now, we know he has an issue with meth addiction. A few of his arrests have been because of meth possession, but they won't put out now what drug it was, so maybe it wasn't meth. But either way, he was arrested for some sort of drug possession, and now he can't get out of jail at all. I can't blame them. You get arrested twice in 2 days, we're not letting you out. So he can't even bond out. He's just in jail, and he's probably going to be in there for a long time because he has 7 charges or something on him. So, poor Matt. I know it's hard coming out of jail. You can't get a job. You're dealing with addiction, but man, to be arrested 7 times within a year is absolutely bananas. So I'm praying that he can get some help because I think he really needs it. And it seems like he may be doing some time for a long time. If you're wondering about his ex, Caitlin, who he was on the show with, she absolutely does not care. That's the update. All right, let's talk about some predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so my first prediction is Lacy and Shane. I think that John is just going to continue to be an issue in their relationship. As sad as she was when she found out that he was back in jail, I think they're just not going to be able to get past it. Shane is always going to feel like her heart is somewhere else. And honestly, I can't blame him if he does feel that way. With Sarah, Megan, and Michael, I think Sarah is going to take him to court and he's going to get really, really mad that she went that way. And I think she should do it because she's been trying to get his attention all this time and he hasn't been doing it. So the only way to do it now is to take it to court. But I know he's going to be upset about it, especially because he doesn't have a job. We see a fight with Michael and Rock, so I'm assuming that's going to happen soon. I don't know if that's going to affect the relationship with Michael and Megan, and it looks like she's going to figure out that he's dating other women. So I'm expecting hopefully a breakup with Michael and Megan because she's having sex with his best friend. He's cheating and getting money from other women. Like I said, just throw the whole relationship away. It's just time to dead it. Cheryl and Josh, I think they're going to break up again when she goes back to Colorado. We know Tracy and Clint, that she gets out and they end up staying together just from off of our news daily over the time that the show wasn't on. So I just assume that they're going to continue to work through their relationship, even though they probably should throw that whole relationship away too. I think Britney is going to take in her mom. I think it's going to take Marcelino some time to be okay with her mom being there, but I think she really needs to have her mom around, and I think they're going to end up working out their relationship. And last but not least, I think, Andrea and Lamar are either going to have to, one's going to have to compromise and move to the other state, or as in my suggestion, move to a new state, or they may just break up altogether and then we'll have to figure out what they're going to do with their daughter, Priscilla. But either way, it's going to continue to be a whole bunch of mess and shenanigans like it always is on this show, but we love it. We sure do. All right, guys, that wraps up our show for today. Thank you for rocking with me, and thank you, Vito, for your input.
Of course, I'm so happy to give it as always. Thank you guys for giving me and Brianna some very positive feedback when I was on the show before.
Oh, yes.
Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
And hey, Alexis, where can they find you? If they're
You
looking for
guys
on
can
social
find
media?
me on social media at I am Lexi Fierce, and you can subscribe to my new YouTube channel. I just launched it today, matter of fact. My new YouTube channel, it's Talkin' TV with Lex. You
Good
can
stuff.
subscribe to my channel, so make sure you do that. Vito, let's get on out of here. Bye, guys.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.